I want to talk to you today about the discussion boards for our online class, which are set up a little differently than discussion boards in most other online classes here at Lincoln Land. So first off, our discussion boards this semester are based on a group discussion model. So rather than discussing the topics with the entire class, you'll be discussing among a subgroup of the class approximately 8 to 10 students. And so you'll notice in each discussion board, there are threads set up for each group to discuss, and those threads are based on the last name of the user. And so you should make sure that you find the thread that's appropriate for your last name when you begin discussing on the boards this week. Now, once you get into the discussion board, the main thing to keep in mind is that the goal of the discussion board is to have a genuine, real, substantive conversation about the primary source documents in the Perspectives from the Past reader by Brophy. And so every week, you'll be expected to post on at least 4 different days each week in order to get full credit for the assignment. And in those posts, you should be posting a variety of different things. You should be posting questions that you have about the readings, things you don't understand, things you want more information about, maybe even words in the reading you didn't understand or couldn't find online. And then also, you'll be answering other students' questions. And so you'll be contributing to the discussion in multiple ways. So you should be posting questions of your own, answering questions by other students, and then replying to other students' replies as well. All of this is taking place inside that thread for your last name on the discussion board. Now, when you're posting, the goal is to be using those primary source documents from the Perspectives from the Past reader to answer the questions. And so you shouldn't be going off and finding outside research. You shouldn't necessarily be using any other books other than your textbook and, most importantly, the document reader itself. And so you should be looking for quotes, paraphrases, and specific facts and details from the documents themselves to answer the questions on the discussion board. And because you're using material from a book, you must make sure that you cite your sources. And in this case, because we're only using really one book, the Brophy Reader, you can do a really simple style of citation. You can just put in parentheses at the end of a sentence where you use a quote or paraphrase or a fact from the book, the page number from Brophy in which you found that fact. And so as long as you're properly citing your sources and using specific details and facts from the book to answer your questions, you're probably on the right track. Now, when I grade these discussion boards, what am I looking for? I'm looking for 2 things on the discussion boards. The frequency of your posting, so you have to post on at least 4 different days during the week, and the quality of your posting. And so when I look at quality, I want posts that are long, that are substantive, that use specific details and facts from the book to answer the questions, that raise interesting, thought-provoking questions, and that answer questions in ways that aren't already being answered by other students, so who are bringing original thoughts and original material onto the discussion boards. Those are the only 2 things I'm looking for when I'm grading these discussion boards each week. Now, make sure that when you're using the discussion boards, that everything you post in there is advancing the conversation. So you want to make sure that you're bringing up new ideas, new concepts, new questions, new answers, not just repeating things that other students are saying, not just agreeing or disagreeing with another student's post, right? The goal of the discussion boards is to have a real substantive, meaningful conversation. Now remember, you also have a weekly writing assignment based on those discussion boards, based on those primary source documents. And you can use the discussion boards to talk about your writing assignments each week. In fact, I encourage you to go through your ideas on the writing assignments on the discussion boards first. Get feedback from other students, ask questions that might be holding you back on your writing, get a sense of what other students are doing. Use those discussion boards to prepare yourself to create the writing assignments that are due at the end of each week. So the way I envision this working is that these discussion boards are opportunities for you to think about the writing prompts before you have to sit down and write them. So you should be spending the first 4 or 5 days each week on the discussion boards working through the questions and thoughts that you have on these documents, so that when you sit down over the weekend to complete that writing assignment, you'll be well prepared to do so. All right. If you have any questions about the discussion boards, don't hesitate to ask. I encourage you to ask on the discussion boards, in the Q&A forum discussion board, in the discussion section of the Blackboard site. You can do so anonymously if you want, but I encourage you to post your questions there, because if you have a question, it's likely that other students have the same question as well. If you must, you can email me questions as well using the email address in the instructor information section of the Blackboard site. I look forward to working with you on these discussion boards, and good luck this week and every week this semester. One final thought on the discussion boards, and that is that you shouldn't just be posting on the discussion boards, you should be reading the discussion boards as well. My expectation is that you should be reading all of the other posts made by the students in your group. And so you should be reading their questions, their comments, their answers, their responses, and you should be monitoring your posts to see if other students ask questions of them, raise new ideas, or bring up interesting thoughts in response to something you wrote. If another student responds to one of your posts with more questions and more follow-up and more information, it is appropriate that you should be replying to them and answering their questions about what you wrote. And most importantly, if I log in and comment or question something about your post, you must reply to my questions and comments on the discussion board. And so you should be responding to everything people write to you, in addition to asking questions of others that they should be responding to back. All right. Good luck this semester, and thank you.